We got grading the 2025 NFL draft 1 year later. Let's check this
The
out.
2025 NFL
Picks 1
draft
through
class is 1 year
16.
into their careers, and in today's video, we're going to go back and grade picks 1 through 16 from the 2025 NFL draft. If you were wondering where picks 17 through 32 is, that video will be released on Saturday, February 7th. We will be grading each of the draft picks in today's video largely on production, and we are not going to say, well, the Raiders drafted Ashton Jeanty and they should have drafted Armand Membou, therefore the Jeanty grade comes down. I know there would probably be some comments on that, so I wanted to preface that before we start. We will also be going in reverse order, so we will be starting with the Cardinals' selection of defensive tackle Walter Nolen and finishing with the Titans' selection of quarterback Cam Ward. And before we start, if you could like the video, a football will appear when you do and would also be very much appreciated. And with that preface out of the way, let's begin.
I bet. Let's lock in, chat.
Walter Nolen was the 16th pick in the 2025 draft, and unfortunately, Walter didn't make his NFL debut until Week 9 against the Dallas Cowboys. He suffered a calf injury in training camp and was placed on the PUP list before his rookie season began. And what was also extremely unfortunate for Walter Nolen was he only played in six...
Let me move my webcam real quick so I don't be covering this shit up. You know what I'm saying? Gotta put myself right here.
Games in his rookie year before suffering a season-ending injury against the Falcons late in the 2025 season. But in the 6 games he played, I thought Nolen looked like a future Pro Bowler. He looked really good for a 22-year-old rookie in the short time he played, and the biggest thing here is health. His career has mostly been injury-filled, but if he can stay healthy, then I really like the Cardinals' 2025 draft class, which featured him and second-round corner Will Johnson. Nolen had a big breakout season.
It's still crazy to me that Will Johnson fell to this. It was with the second round. Cause like I understand like the injury stuff, you know what I'm saying, but bro, like a healthy Will Johnson was the best cornerback in that draft class, hands down.
With Ole Miss,
not even close.
And some people were worried this was a one-year wonder, but he tossed some NFL guys around during the 6 games he played and had 15 pressures on just 99 pass rushing snaps, which is a pressure rate of 15.1%, which is extremely encouraging for a 22-year-old rookie who was coming off of a calf injury midway through the NFL season. Based on when he was on the field, I would say this is an A-, but because there is a relatively limited sample size, as he only played 169 total defensive snaps, I think it's more responsible to go with an incomplete grade. Jalen Walker was the Falcons' first of 2 first-round picks, and to me, Jalen Walker was a very interesting prospect because of how versatile of a player he was at Georgia. I was worried whichever team drafted him would use him in the wrong way, and 1 year later, he had a promising rookie season, and the future is bright for not only him, but the 2025 Falcons draft class. Walker played less than 500 snaps as a rookie, so his numbers may not pop off the charts, but his impact was felt as he finished the year with...
this is, like, for a rookie, like, this is pretty solid, bro. 36 total tackles, 29 total pressures, 9 QB hits, 5.5 sacks, and 5 TFLs. That's not bad.
9 pressures, 9 quarterback hits, 5.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles in his
right now, they hit on both of their rookie picks.
The unfortunate part for Walker, and I kind of say this with quotations around the word unfortunate, is he had 2 good rookie teammates in James Pierce Jr. and Xavier Watts, who kind of stole the shine from Walker at times, and both of whom were Defensive Rookie of the Year finalists. But Jalen Walker was still a really solid player for Atlanta in his rookie year, and he played his entire rookie season at 21 years old, which is obviously a bonus because of the runway he has in front of him to develop. I certainly had my concerns about the Falcons rookie class at times, but this looks to be a really solid pick, a B+ grade. Tyler Warren was the second tight end drafted after the Bears selected Colston Loveland, and in his rookie year, Warren had 76 receptions for 817 yards and 4 touchdowns. He also had a rushing touchdown and was a really good player for the Colts.
I ain't gonna lie though, y'all gotta get my boy some more tuds, gang, cause nigga, he should be having at least 10 or like I'll say like at least 8+ tuds.
That once had a lot of promise. I like Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland a lot in the draft process last year, and thought both would be good players throughout their rookie contract, and both were good players in their rookie year. What's unfortunate for Tyler Warren is he was kind of robbed of a chance at a 1,000-yard season in his rookie year. It's nobody's fault Daniel Jones went down, of course, and in turn, that affected the Colts offense, and ultimately the numbers guys were able to put up. Prior to Jones' injury, Warren was on pace for 970 yards, and who knows if he would have got to 1,000 yards, but in the final 4 games of the year without Daniel Jones, he had 3 games with 30 or less receiving yards, and the only one that he had more than 30 yards, well, he had 5 catches for 43 yards. This
Damn.
is a great football player, and there may be some that think, how could you give Tyler Warren the same grade as Brock Bowers last year? But Bowers had just the third 1,000-yard season from a rookie tight end in the past 65 years, meaning he's a bit of an outlier. And anytime you have a tight end go for 817 yards on 76 receptions in their rookie year with a promising future, I'm personally giving this an A+ grade.
Facts. There
Kenneth
you go.
Grant was the Dolphins' first-round pick last
Kenneth
year. and at
Grant,
6
bro. I'm not gonna lie, gang. I didn't hear anything from him the whole year, bro. Like, no bullshit.
340 pounds.
I ain't
you
hear
expect
nothing
him to
from him the
contribute
whole year.
immediately as a run-stuffing defensive tackle and a guy who opposing offenses have to get two bodies on at all times. And by the end of Kenneth's rookie year, he was a more noticeable player and looks like a bright spot for the Dolphins as we enter 2026.
Okay.
But at the beginning of the season,
I only
there
pay attention to
were
the
a lot
Dolphins
of
this year, I ain't
welcome to
gonna
the NFL moments for Kenneth. He was pushed around regularly in the run game, and what I think should be noted is he was a 21-year-old rookie for the first several games of his career, and we say this a lot on the channel, but it's true, and it's that going up against grown men regularly in the trenches is a whole different beast than playing college football every Saturday, and I think
Facts.
Kenneth found that out the hard way early on. But like we said, he did get better by season's end and finished the season with 5 quarterback hits and 2 sacks too. He had at least 2 pressures in each of the Dolphins' final 5 games, and I think he'll not only play more next year, but also be a lot more contributive. A C+ with the grade expected to go up. Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama, was the Cowboys' first-round pick, and the Cowboys drafted another Tyler along their offensive line, and 1 year later, this is a great pick. Jerry Jones gets a lot of criticism at times, rightfully so might I add, but one thing we do regularly point out on the channel is the Cowboys draft a lot better than people realize, and one of the biggest things with the Cowboys and why people like
it's
dunking
not bad. Hey, this not bad at all, bro. 631 pass blocking snaps, 25 pressure allowed, 7. Hey, I ain't glad the penalties is a bit much, you know what I'm saying? But he's a rookie. He gon' you know what I'm saying? He gon' get better with the penalties as he gets older and shit. And only allowing 3 sacks. That's not bad.
On them when they lose is
Not
because
bad, man.
they actually have expectations, and nailing the NFL draft is how you have expectations in the first place. Tyler Booker is a mauler in the run game, and it would be ignorant to say he is the reason Javonte Williams had the success he did in 2025, but he certainly played
Y'all
a
better
part
be
in
bringing him
Javonte
back,
Williams
too.
having the success he did. What I think is most encouraging about this selection for Tyler Booker in the Cowboys' future is he showed a ton of promise at 21 years old and was an overall net positive for Dallas in 2025. And if he already has shown these flashes and made this much progress as a 21-year-old in the trenches, especially with what this division has to offer at defensive tackle, you know, guys who Booker goes up against a total of 6 times per year, you can call me crazy if you want, but I'm giving this an A+ grade.
I'm not mad at it.
Micah Williams was the 49ers' first-round pick in the
I
first
ain't glad this one got to be incomplete because he got hurt.
thing we have to note is that Micah Williams went down for the year in Week 9 with a torn ACL. We, of course, hope Michael is doing great in recovery, but the big thing to note here is he didn't play 10 snaps per game, meaning we got a good look at him throughout his rookie season as he played nearly 400 total defensive snaps. He played and started 9 games, and I wasn't the biggest fan of this pick because I thought he was a lot more potential than polish, and drafting potential over polish at number 11 overall.
He's more like Trayvon Walker was a few years ago.
The same franchise took Trey Lance at number 3 overall because of the potential, but Michael had 245 pass rushing snaps and only registered 19 pressures, and he had a few plays here and there, but for the 11th overall pick, I was largely underwhelmed with Micah Williams' performance. He is only 21 years old and he can grow into his body more in year 2, but I thought there was a lot of meat left on the bone. Positively, I will say this about Michael. Kirby Smart said that his work ethic was one of the biggest reasons they recruited him to Georgia, and I think it will eventually work out and that he will become a solid NFL player, but through 1 year, based on the time he played, this would be a C-. Colston Loveland is up, and like we discussed during the Tyler Warren
before he
portion,
talks about this pick, I just want to say this, bruh. When the Bears drafted him, people were saying, "Oh, Colston Loveland gonna be a buzz. They should have took Tyler Warren." What people don't understand, bruh, and what teams do, they draft people based off, well, obviously needs, but also scheme fits. Tyler Warren was not a scheme fit for Chicago, bruh. They needed another type of a tight end like Colston Loveland. You know what I'm saying? Because they already had Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet and Tyler Warren kind of like similar tight ends. You know what I'm saying? So they needed a guy who can play on the outside, play in the slide, and like in the traditional tight end role, bro. And Colston Loveland, like once, I think after that Bengals game, he really started to get more involved in the offense and started to find his own, bro. So I feel like this is a great pick
Of
in my
both of these
opinion.
prospects during the pre-draft process last year, and I was very frustrated for both Bears fans and Colston Loveland himself nearly midway through his rookie year. Through week 8, Loveland had just 18 targets on the season and had 11 receptions for 116 yards. And at about this point, given that we were midway through the 2025 NFL season, I made a video on the best and worst picks from the 2025 draft so far and included Loveland, not because I didn't think he had what it takes to play at the NFL level, but because I was hammering home the question of what was the plan of drafting him at number 10 overall? What was the point of drafting this player if you weren't going to fully utilize him? But almost immediately after that, the Bears started using Loveland a lot more, and after having just 11 receptions for 116 yards in the first 6 games of his rookie year,
These are great stats too, bro. And like he only had like what 100 less receiving yards than Warren. You know what I'm saying? And he had 2 more touchdowns than him. So like, come on, bro.
he had
Like people be
47
quick to
receptions
talk
for
quick about
597
a
yards and
player
6
who's not getting
touchdowns in the final
utilized,
10
bro.
games of his rookie season, which
Quick to
would
call
have
him
had
a
him on
bust and
pace for
everything.
over 1,000 yards
Shit
and
crazy.
10 touchdowns for a full 17-game season. He also had a 137-yard game in his playoff debut over the Packers and accomplished all of this at 21 years old. And with Loveland,
we had a lot of
Tyler Warren,
21-year-old
Harold Fannin,
rookies.
and Aronde Gadsden, this is an incredible tight end class, and this is an A-plus grade. Kelvin Banks was the Saints' first-round pick, and Kelvin Banks was a prospect I liked a lot coming out of Texas. During each and every pre-draft process, you'll hear me say just draft this guy and that he's a good football player, and this was how I felt about Kelvin Banks. He was my favorite tackle prospect in the 2025 draft, and for clarity, favorite does not mean best, but he was a player I thought would play at the NFL level.
When the fuck Spencer Rattler do
For
that?
clarity, favorite does not mean best, but he was a
Oh my gosh.
player I thought would play at the NFL level for a long time, and 1 year in, he looks to be their franchise left tackle. He allowed just 2 sacks in the final 9 games of 2025 and showed flashes of great play regularly throughout his
Penalties
rookie
is a
year.
lot, but
The Saints' first 2 picks
so
in the
you gonna have
2025
you gonna have
draft
them
were
growing
used
pains
on
with a
Kelvin
rookie.
Banks and Tyler Shuck, and I've
He
had a lot of
looks great
questions
so far
about
from
the
what I'm
Saints
seeing
and
right
their
there.
future plans over
Because
the
one thing
years.
with me, bro, like offensive linemen, they're kind of like harder to like keep up with, like when you like reacting to the game instead of like just watching film and shit. I might start watching more film on linemen. I ain't gonna hold you, but you know what I'm saying. Just based off of what I'm seeing right here, bro, he had a terrific year. Not gonna lie, bro.
Throughout his rookie year. The Saints' first 2 picks in the 2025 draft were used on Kelvin Banks and Tyler Shuck, and I've had a lot of questions about the Saints and their future plans over the years, but this truly could be the start of something special. Why I think Kelvin Banks' future is particularly bright is he played his rookie season at just 21 years old, and sure, there were some welcome
Hey
to the
dog,
NFL
we had so many 21-year-old rookies last
most
year.
notably against Nick Bosa in his second career game, in what was the worst game of his career so far, but I thought this was a player who got better throughout the 25 season. The NFL playoffs prove every year just how important trench play is, and I personally believe the Saints drafted a franchise left tackle, an A-plus grade.
Okay.
Tetairoa McMillan was the first
T-Mac.
receiver
This
off the
A+
board
for
last
sure.
April, and he was a prospect that I
And
thought
it's
was
crazy.
overthought.
Like a lot of people were calling him overrated, bro. When he was coming out of Arizona, you know what I'm saying? People were saying that he was not the best wide receiver in this draft class. Now look at him now, gang. Offensive rookie of the year, the only rookie wide receiver to eclipse 1K
to the
too.
late teens and focusing more on the negatives in his game rather than the positives, and I couldn't have disagreed more. I thought he was a great prospect, and in his rookie year, had over 1,000 receiving yards and 7 receiving touchdowns. The Panthers also won the NFC South, and I personally do not think it's an exaggeration to say the Panthers would not have won the NFC South had they not drafted Tetairoa McMillan at number 8 overall. He had 2 100-yard games in his rookie year, including a career-high 130 yards and 2 touchdowns in a win over the Falcons in November, and also stepped up in the Panthers' 2 biggest games of the year, which were in Week 18 against the Bucs and the wildcard round against the Rams, as he had more than 80 yards in both of those games. Tetairoa was such a good prospect for such a long time that people very much had prospect fatigue, but I always thought he was the definition of drafting a good football player. And he was everything the Panthers could have asked for, and his future is extremely bright.
He reminds me of
An
Mike
A-plus
Evans
grade.
in a sense, you know what I'm
Armand
saying?
Membu was the Jets' first-round pick last year, and obviously 2025 was a very long year.
Jets, they got they franchise tackle duo, bro. I ain't gonna
for
lie.
Jets fans, but there are a few
Him
bright
and
shining spots on this roster, 2 of which are at offensive
Fashanu.
tackle. Membu
They gonna
was a
be a great
prospect I loved coming out
franchise
of
left tackle
Missouri, and I
duo.
thought he
Tackle
mirrored
duo.
pass rushers' moves extremely well. I think he had a really strong anchor, and I also thought he moved well in the run game, and that translated in his rookie year as he has all the makings of a franchise right tackle. Membu definitely had some welcome to the NFL moments, as every offensive lineman does at some point, but one thing I do want to hammer home with Membu is you'll see that he allowed 33 pressures and 8 sacks as a rookie, and while that may be true, context is needed around those statistics. The Jets lost a lot of games in 2025, and because they lost a lot of games and were also down very big in those games, everyone knew they were going to pass the ball. So Membu, in a lot of ways, was set up for failure, but he's a really, really good player, and a player Jets fans are thrilled to have 1 year later. This was a home run of a first selection by GM Darren Muji, and this is an A+ grade. Ashton Jeanty was the first running back off the board after having over 2,700.
Here we go with this one too, bruh. Oh, Genty's a buzz because, you know what I'm saying, he ain't been able to do what he did in college and the NFL. Nigga, have you seen the O-line he's had to run behind, bruh? That O-line is dog shit. Beyond dog shit, bruh. He was not able to do anything all year long, gang. So when the Raiders started to improve that O-line and get it, like, I ain't gonna say like a top 5 O-line unit, but at least like a top 15, at least like solid. He gonna start to do some damage, bro. Mark my words, gang.
Yards from scrimmage and 30 total touchdowns in his final year in college with Boise State. Now, obviously, the Raiders did not have a good year in 2025, and we know that as they finished.
Raiders got a bright future, man.
And will almost certainly draft Fernando Mendoza with the #1 pick. But whether you know this or not, Ashton Jeanty actually had a 1,300 total yard rookie season, along with 10 total touchdowns. His offensive line was also horrible, and there is a stat from PFF that's called missed tackles forced, which I think is a really cool stat, and Jeanty finished 5th in the NFL in missed tackles forced with 61. The only 4 players ahead of him were Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, and James Cook. And the reason we bring that stat up is...
Look at Bijan compared to everybody else. 86 and the second most is 67.
I truly think Jeanty will be a good player for the Raiders whenever there is a better supporting cast around him. We're also not going to knock this pick because of Armand Membu at #7 overall. He didn't have the
still
most
had 975 rushing yards,
offensive line, and quarterback play. And
I ain't gonna lie, just based off this, bro, that just goes to show you that Jeanty is still special, bro. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Having 975 yards behind that O-line.
Have the most efficient year due in large part to the offensive line and quarterback play, and I really think he will be a good player in 2026, and that we'll be having a different conversation about Jeanty in 12 months. A B+ grade.
That's valid.
Mason Graham was the 5th pick in the draft, and I think there are a couple of ways to view this pick 1 year later. There will naturally be a crowd that says, the Browns used a top 5 pick to draft a defensive tackle who had half a sack in his rookie season. That's the Browns I know, and get some other low-quality joke or remark in. There's another crowd that will say, a defensive tackle, are they worth the top 5 pick? And then there's another crowd that watched Mason Graham play in his rookie year and saw the type of impact he had, regularly. His impact certainly wasn't the most on the stat sheet, and he will be overlooked by a lot of people until he gets those sack numbers, as unfortunate as that is.
I mean,
but I what
he's
I saw
a defensive tackle. That's not his job to really get sacks, bro.
From a 22-year-old rookie.
Don't even look at the
sack
numbers, because that's not his job.
Know this, and it's that Myles Garrett is also very grateful the Browns drafted Mason Graham. I know the Browns are going through a tough time, but I really like the future of the Browns defensive line, and it's because of a guy like Mason Graham. This is a really talented football player, and 1 year later, this is a B. Will Campbell was the first offensive lineman off the board, and when Will Campbell was drafted, he gave one of the more memorable draft interviews. It was an awesome moment for him and his family, and he said in his draft interview that
I'll say this about Will Campbell, because a lot of people are like kind of like bashing him, you know what I'm saying? Now, I will say this, if he does struggle next year, then you probably want to move him to guard, because his short arms, bruh, it did, you know what I'm saying? It was a big problem for him, especially in the playoffs this past year. You know what I'm saying? But he's a rookie, and he went against some of the best edge rush talent in the NFL. Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, Nick Bonito, who else? DeMarcus Lawrence and them boys. You know what I'm saying? Like, he went against so much great talent on the edge, bro. Of course he was going to struggle as a rookie, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like what the Pats might do, obviously they're most likely going to draft the offensive lineman in the first round this year, you know what I'm saying, 2026 draft. But I feel like he might be getting moved to guard sooner rather than later. I ain't gonna lie, but I will say give him another chance. You know what I'm saying, to start at left tackle next season, and if he still struggles, then move him to guard, and then probably move Jarrett Wilson to center. You know what I'm saying, but right now it's looking rough for him. But I think he got a lot of potential, bro.
Drake May, which is a
But
far
you're
cry
gonna
from the
have
help
growing
that Drake
pains
May
with a
had around
rookie,
him as a
especially
rookie.
linemen.
And in Campbell's rookie year,
Can't
the
just
Patriots
expect
won
him to just
14
come in and
games
dominate
went to
right
the
away.
Super Bowl. Now, one of the biggest concerns with Will Campbell as a draft prospect was not having 33-plus inch arms, as his arm length of 32 and 5/8 inches was in the 21st percentile for offensive tackles, and his wingspan of 77 and 3/8 inches is actually in the 7th percentile for offensive tackles, and there were times where Campbell struggled against the best of the best. He was 21 for most of his rookie season, so I get it to a degree, but there is a reason that was hammered home so much during the pre-draft process. It also should be noted he was coming off of an injury during the most difficult portion of the Patriots season, which could have very well played into him struggling during the postseason at times. I think there is a possibility the Patriots' long-term plan with Campbell is to eventually kick him inside to left guard, but I thought he held up pretty well during his rookie season at left tackle. Regardless, he looks to be a good lineman for this franchise, even despite a few struggles, and 1 year later, this is an A-. Abdul Carter of the Giants is up, and this was my number one player in the 2025
And
NFL
another thing
draft.
too, bro. Hey, when people were calling him a buster just because of like his sack numbers weren't high. Boy, you better look at them pressure numbers.
Thought Carter
Real
was
shit.
a really good prospect coming out
Them
of Penn
pressure
State,
numbers
and whoever
was,
drafted
you
him
know
was
what I'm
going to have an
saying?
instant impact player.
Pressure
and that's what the
matters
Giants
more
had.
than sacks.
Now, there was a lot that took place throughout the 2025 Giants
Plus,
season.
like when you're on the same D line as Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence, you're not gonna get as much attention. You know what I'm saying? So
Jackson Dart making
let's
plays,
take that into
unfortunately,
consideration
Cam
as well.
Scadaboo and Malik Neighbors suffering season-ending injuries, but there was a point in time where people questioned Abdul Carter's work ethic and whether or not he was committed to the team and if he was sleeping in meetings. That was in the middle of November of an obvious lost season, and some guys would have folded, especially in this market under this type of pressure. But Abdul Carter didn't, and finished the year with 66 pressures and had 23 quarterback hits too. The one big knock on Carter after his rookie season was he was really bad against the run at times, and while it's not fair to attribute the Giants allowing 5.3 yards per carry solely to Abdul Carter, he certainly played his part at times. Also, he only had 4 sacks, which I do think will jump in his second season, maybe even to the double-digit mark. But for the number 3 pick in the draft, this was a good year. 1 year later, this is an A.
Okay.
Travis Hunter was the most unique prospect in the
This-
2025
this has gotta
NFL
be
draft
NA
as he had to
for
be
sure, 'cause he
evaluated
got
at 2
hurt.
positions, wide receiver and corner. There was a lot of noise surrounding the Travis Hunter pick and him as a
He
prospect.
will be a
and
full-time
basically,
corner
how
next
could
year,
anyone
so.
do this at the NFL level and how he is destined for failure and everything along those lines, but I thought Travis Hunter showed flashes during his rookie season when given the opportunity. The biggest thing that frustrated me with the Jags and Liam Cohen in 2025 was the seeming lack of plan they had for him offensively prior to him getting hurt. Every touch seemed like it was manufactured or forced, and that it seemed like they kind of used him as a gadget player, really outside of one big play against the 49ers and the final game of his rookie season, which was against the Rams. The plan the coaching staff had for Travis Hunter was extremely frustrating, at least to me, because they had months leading up to the 2025 season to get everything ready, and it just didn't feel or look natural. I really do think he will be a good player over the course of his career, but I would give the plan they had for him a D grade. But for Travis Hunter's performance specifically, I would give this a C. Cam Ward was the number 1 pick in the 2025 draft, and if you would have said heading into the season that he would finish his rookie year with
I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm giving Cam Ward a B, to be honest. Cause bro, like he look at who he was throwing the ball to, bro. Like especially like once Calvin really went down, bro was throwing the ball to Tyler Lockett, Chimray DK, Io Manor. I feel like Io Manor got a lot of potential. You know what I'm saying? Okonkwo, he's solid. Now I ain't gonna hold you. Titans, nigga, y'all should have played Restrepo a lot more, bro. He was the only wide receiver in that receiver room that had chemistry with Cam Ward. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what was the reason why they weren't like giving him more play time and shit, but hey, he better get more burn next year, bro. I promise you that, gang. But the offensive line is terrible. I ain't gonna lie, terrible. You know what I'm saying? But what Cam Ward did with all that going on, he still played pretty solid in my opinion. So I'll probably give him a B.
100 passing yards
B or
and
B
just
minus?
15 passing touchdowns, you'd probably say he's on the path to being an NFL bust or an NFL draft disappointment. But one of the biggest things we regularly emphasize on the channel is context is key. And if you did not watch the Titans play in 2025, I would ask if you knew who Cam Ward was throwing to outside of Calvin Ridley before he went down with injury, because if you did not know, the Titans' 5 leading receivers in 2025 were Chigakonkwo, Elikayo Manor, Chimere Dike, Gunnar Helm, and Van Jefferson, which is not exactly setting your quarterback up for success. Now, I liked Io Manor and Gunnar Helm a lot in the pre-draft process, but this was not a good situation at all, especially when the head coach was fired 6 games into Cam Ward's career. I thought there were a lot of flashes in Cam Ward's rookie season and a lot to build off of in 2026 and beyond. I also think there were times where Cam put the ball a little too much in harm's way, and he also tied for leading the league in fumbles with 11. But all things considered, I thought Cam made a lot out of a very poor situation, and 1 year later, this is a B.
Hey, we on the same page, bro.
Video of the year, as there will be a new draft grade video every Saturday for the next couple of months, but that's all I have for today. So if you did enjoy, please like the video and subscribe, as it helps the channel tremendously, and we are closing in at 250,000 subscribers. I cannot thank you guys enough for the support, and until next time, please be safe and have a great day.
Hey, this is a good ass vid, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Hey, man, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Y'all let me know what other NFL videos I'm gonna react to. Without further ado,